Good afternoon. My name is Angel Rivera, and this is Angel in the Afternoon. My guest for the fourth time. It's
Becoming a regular.
Karen.
I'm flattered. I
Mhm.
love hanging out with you.
Yeah, me too. Like the fourth time, I believe. And next week
Mhm.
again, she'll be back on because we're doing a baseball thing and previewing the baseball season. So 2 weeks in a row next this week and next week. But
Yay. You need to change this to Angel in the evening. Why is it Angel in the afternoon?
I've been told that, and people keep telling me that, and it's like, well, technically, it's in the afternoon somewhere in this country. So,
That is true. That's
but
true.
yeah, to change the graphics and to change everything, it's kind of inconvenient, and I don't. Somebody made my guest, I think from when was it last week? Snow Himbo made this for me,
Hmm.
so I don't want to ask him, hey, can you
I,
do this graphics again? So that's
I
why I'm
was
kind of.
I was just giving you a hard time. It wasn't a serious
No, no, I
criticism.
I know, but other people have said that to me. That's why it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I know. Technically, I used to start the stream at 2 o'clock, which is why it was
I
called
know.
afternoon.
I remember that. And then I was like, wait, it moved at some point, and I didn't know.
Yeah, I moved it because of job and stuff. So it was like, okay, I can't do it in the afternoon, so I have to move it to the evening. So even though 7 p.m. is evening, but I had to change the graphics and the show name again. It's like
Just
I'm
tell
like,
people that, like, yes, but your show identifies as the afternoon.
yeah. So that's why I kept it, in the afternoon because I kept the name because like I don't want to have to change the show again and then redo the graphics, So that's why I'm like screw it for now. Eventually I'll have to change it, but for now it's like whatever, just leave it like that. So yeah, welcome to the show. I if you haven't already, please like and please subscribe. I mean, greatly appreciate it. So I am kind of all over the place again. I mean, I know my regular viewers know that I'm never organized or anything. But today I do have an excuse. I forgot to buy my lottery tickets. So I'm running to the liquor store, which is around the corner from me. And I bought tickets and some little bit of alcohol. So it's not a big deal. I'm not going to be too hammered doing the show. This is like cheap beer, but it's all I had. So I was like, okay, let me get this too. But that's why I'm disorganized this week. But I'm usually disorganized, so no one should be surprised by that. But today we're going to cover a few things, and shouldn't do that. The first thing we're going to cover is, let's see. Thank you for joining us, 7 people so far, but I expect to be more eventually. People, it takes them a while to come on. I'm out of breath still. I said this shows how out of shape I am because I used to be able to run back and forth without a problem, and now I'm out of breath. So it
Would
shows.
you run like a mile?
No, it's like around the corner. It's like 3 blocks. It wasn't even a mile, and I'm out of breath. But yeah, let's see. Let's start something. If I can find what I saved. So again, so as no, let's start with the TikTok ban real quick. I can get to this real quick. The United States government passed, or better, more correctly, is the House. They passed HR 7521, which is the what's known as the ban TikTok bill, and because as everybody knows, the a Chinese company called Byte This or Byte Dance, whatever it's called. They own TikTok, which is a Chinese-based company from Beijing, and the U.S. government is making a big deal out of it because apparently the U.S. government can or the Chinese government can get all our information. They can get all our information. They can get everything from us. But there's an irony there because the United States government already does that.
It's not spying when they do it.
No, it's not. That's what they're acting like, oh, how the Chinese can get all your information, and the Chinese can do this and that, and they can use the information to do God knows what.
And
Meanwhile, go
this
ahead.
tweet though, well, I was just gonna say this tweet that you just pulled up because I had bookmarked that too, and to me, like, okay, that's the heart of this whole thing, right? Is just right there. It doesn't matter what you feel about TikTok. You like it, you hate it. I think it's a cesspool. It's kind of ridiculous, but that is so not the point. The point
Mm-hmm.
is what you have on the screen right now, right? The point is the centralized power. The point is the unchecked and unaccountable power. That's the point.
Yeah.
So they do it with TikTok. They're going to do it with Twitter. They're going to do it with it doesn't matter. It's going to just be this like congealed mass of unaccountable power. So
Mm-hmm.
that right there is the problem.
Yeah. And it gets it because the new TikTok ban bill, HR 7521, gives the executive branch of the government the power to define any platform slash website as foreign owned, even if domestic, giving him the
Mhm.
ability to control slash censor the content from being published by the company. So this is the specific part of the bill, which it explains the let me see. Let me try to Luckily, I have a touchscreen, so I can make this bigger. Permits the user to blah blah blah. So basically, the standard is has more than a million monthly active users with the respect to at least 2 of the 3 months with respect that to at least 2 to 3 months preceding the date which a relevant determination of the president. So it gives carte blanche to the president to do whoever it is to shut down or to
Mhm.
force the sale of any website or any social media company. Enables one or more users of blah blah blah, the website, desktop. So yeah, so basically that's what it does. It gives carte blanche to the American president to do whatever they want, either to force a sale or to shut it down because it's foreign owned. And the excuse that I've heard from people is like, well, most of these social media companies are foreign owned, which is true because there's a lot of they're public companies. So there's Saudi Arabia money, there's Chinese money, there's money from all over, billionaires from all over the world invested in these companies. So which is why they can use that as an excuse, even though the company's based in the United States. The only one that's not based in the United States is TikTok. They're based in Beijing, but yeah, I mean it's absolutely absurd. Absurd. Oops, let me actually do that because I don't want to accidentally. Why does it always do that? I want it to do this, and instead it just does that. But yeah, I mean the TikTok ban. Let me see the exact votes because I have the exact vote here if I can find it. I didn't I save it? Maybe I didn't. But I want to show a video too. Who ultimately I think is behind this? Because usually some people assume it's competitors like Facebook is behind it and Twitter and all these companies the competitors to TikTok like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, to be fair, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp is all owned by Facebook,
Mhm.
but or Meta, whatever the parent company is now called. But but yeah, I mean it's so part of it's that and the other part of it is the because TikTok is mostly used by younger kids or Gen Zers or whatever. So and Gen Zers are they're pro Palestinian for the most part, as I'm sure you know. So and TikTok is full of what the Zionists called pro Palestinian propaganda. So those fuckers are behind us. And I'm gonna show a clip, from the head of the Anti Defamation League in a minute, but to show you that they're the ones who are behind this insistence of banning TikTok. Why can't I find the congressional vote? I'm pretty sure it was 365 to 64, but I just don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I was watching it. I didn't see the whole thing. I was watching it unfold for a while. Um, I don't remember the exact number though either.
It's 365. I can't find it. Three. Oh, okay. Here it is. I got it. 352 to 65. Hmm. That was the vote to pass it in the House. Which I'm amazed by that. It's like these are Republicans and Democrats. A lot of Democrats voted in favor of this. So
Oh yeah.
it's not just a Republican anti-China hatred. It's not that. It's Democrats voting in favor of this.
Well, the thing is,
But
like, whether you're talking about the Dems and the Republicans or whatever other interests, just because you've got these different entities coming together to advocate for the same thing doesn't mean they're all doing it for the same reason by any stretch, or that they have the same end goal at all. It's like, it's just an alliance to get something done.
hey, Steve, thank you for joining us. Give it a like if you haven't already. Appreciate it. Well, this is a quick video from the Associated Press. This is a minute long.
The proposed
There
bill
it is.
passed today in the
That's what I'm looking for. So 155 Democrats voted in favor of it, 197 Republicans, which equals 352 for yay. 15 Republicans and 50 Democrats voted against it, 65 nay, and 1 present. And 7 Congress members didn't vote. So it's 352, 65, 1, and 14, which means it passes the House. It'll probably die in the Senate because all the bills die in the Senate usually. It needs 60 votes to even advance into debate, and then you need another 60 votes to pass the bill. So chances are it'll die in the Senate because unless there's like 12 Democrats who vote in favor of it, which I don't see that happening. But maybe they will. Maybe the Israeli lobby is very powerful. I'm going to show you in a minute what I mean by that.
in the House and is headed to the Senate.
The rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without the objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Democrats and Republicans have raised concerns for some time because parent company ByteDance is based in China.
Was it developed in China?
Some of it is.
Okay.
Is the user data of the 107?
By the way, the CEO of ByteDance is a Filipino. He's not even Chinese, but they keep calling him Chinese in Congress when he testified. I'm like,
Well,
no,
that's more convenient. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's just racism. It's like, you're Chinese, right? No, I'm Filipino. He said it over and over again, but they insisted he's Chinese for some reason in Congress. Both parties did that. So it's easier for them to demonize, the CEO and the company, even though, no, I'm Filipino. He kept saying it over and over again, but they insisted he was Chinese. It's ridiculous, that hearing.
70 million Americans on TikTok secure? Or will China's ruling party
Xi Jinping, everybody, be scared of the Chinese, especially him. He's horrible.
Tell ByteDance to hand the data over? Under a 2017 law, they can do that. The bill isn't a clear-cut ban. It would require the parent company to divest from TikTok within 6 months of the bill's enactment, or it's out. This has come up before. Last March, a ban was on the table, and CEO Su Zhiqiu told lawmakers during a hearing that the company was migrating U.S. user data to servers with the Texas-based company Oracle. And even before that, Trump tried to ban the app through executive order.
If you remember, Trump tried to ban the app through executive order until it was ruled unconstitutional, which it was. I mean, you can't just ban an app through executive order. I don't think you can do it passing a bill in Congress. It's a clear First Amendment violation.
In preparation for this vote, TikTok sent a notification to some users urging them to call their representatives and speak out against this bill. Again, this bill has bipartisan support, and Biden's White House provided technical support in the draft, even though he is campaigning for 2024 on TikTok.
Ironic, isn't it? He's campaigning for re-election on TikTok, but he's trying to ban TikTok. Like he openly tried to campaign on TikTok. He has his campaign as an official page, and I'm like, wait. So you're trying to ban an app which you're actively trying to campaign in? Hey, Grape, thank you for joining us. Make sure you give me a like or give us a like. And yeah, I mean, they're trying to ban this app. Biden already said, "Oh, if it comes to my desk, I'll definitely sign it. It's a law. Don't worry." It's not like I'm going to say no. I'm not going to sign it. He will sign it. I guarantee you he will. And he already admitted that he would. All right, so the Anti-Defamation League. I'm pretty sure it's behind this. I mean, even though there's people saying, well, it's partly Facebook and Twitter and all the competitors to the U.S. competitors to TikTok, because TikTok is probably the more popular social media app in the world. Even though YouTube is trying to compete with their shorts, but TikTok is much more popular. And I use YouTube Shorts because it's easier for me to make a minute-long video than put up a 20-minute, full-length video, which only gets 5 views. So my Shorts gets hundreds of views, sometimes thousands of views. So, which is why I go with the shorts for the most part, unless I'm doing my podcast, and then this show. So it's like, yeah. So, but other than that, I do use the shorts. But I haven't created an account on TikTok because, like you said, it's like a cesspool full of crap. And
Yeah.
but a lot of Gen Zers use it, which is what Biden desperately needs if he's going to win re-election.
Talk about
If he's going to win re-election, he needs that those younger votes, and he's not. And the Israeli-Palestine thing, that's probably a lot of the reason why he's struggling with younger voters, because a lot of them are pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist. But banning TikTok's made it worse, or trying to ban TikTok, because most of those kids use TikTok. My nephew is 17. Oh no, he's 16. He turns 17 tomorrow, but he's 16 right now. Let's say 17. The hell with it. He loves TikTok. I mean, that's all he does. He's like this all day on TikTok. So yeah, so he's a Gen Zer, and it's like, dude, like, what are you thinking banning this app, which is extreme, or trying to ban an app which you need for your reelection bid, or at least to give you a chance at reelection, even though I think Biden's going to lose, but I digress. All right, so this is this gentleman here, I forget his name, the bald head dude.
So I don't remember his first name. I'm pretty sure his last name is Greenblatt.
Yeah, it is. But he's the
Personally,
head.
I look, I denounce him from Judaism. I'm saying we don't need him. He can go. It's fine.
Yeah, this Greenblatt dude, he's the head of the Anti-Defamation League. And he's the one, him and his organization are the one that's really pushing this TikTok ban. As Krabs says, my fellow INN member, geez, I wonder who's behind the TikTok ban.
Well, I
So,
think too that I think one mistake that people make, and certainly both, I see this on the left and the right, is that when we talk about like they, whoever the they is you're talking about, like, oh, they're behind this and they're behind this, whoever you want to slot in that category. The thing is, like, 9 times out of 10, there's more than one they. There's more than one they. There's more than one motivation. There's more than one thing going on. And I think that, like, we don't really do ourselves any favors when we just get into this super reductive, like, oh, well, it's this, they're doing it, and then that's it. No.
Mhm.
These things tend to be far more complicated. Does he have a stake? Yeah, sure, for his own reasons. And so does the Biden administration. And it may not just be that, oh, well, they're under the control of this man. Like, it's a little simplistic. It may be a part, but I think we do have to be careful about just being like, okay, it's they and that's it. No, the world doesn't work nearly that simply. These things are very, very complicated. So that's just
yeah,
my personal feeling, is I'm like, we have several theys, you know?
that's a good point, because like I said, about, like I was rambling about a few minutes ago, it's not just this dude, it's Facebook and X/Twitter and
Mhm.
whatever other social media companies here in the US that are also pushing for this TikTok ban. So it's not just this dude, even though he's one of the people who are definitely guilty of this. And he's the one of the main ones. But there's also people on the other side, rich people who want to keep TikTok. There's a lot of Americans who
Of
own
course.
who
It's
own
profitable.
yeah, who own a stake in ByteDance or
Mhm.
Byte this, whatever the company's called. There's a billionaire, Jeff Thiel, and some other billionaires who have a stake in the parent company. So they're trying to pay Congress to keep it, not to ban the shit or TikTok. So yeah, let me see. Rape and teen. Israel knows it doesn't matter if Biden loses the election, since they got Trump coming, and Americans are suffering economically. It doesn't matter to them. Americans suffering economically is like the last thing Washington thinks about. What they care about is
Oh.
Israel. Israel is the
Well,
primary foreign policy.
we like have demonstrated full on that we absolutely care about pretty much every other nation except the US. Like, the US people
Yeah.
are essentially like problematic, and to hell with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care whether it's Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, it does not matter. It's literally, this message is the same: to hell with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Blatt or Greenblatt, whatever his name is, he
I
goes
think
on
that's
goes
what it is.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure it is. They say his name here, I'm sure. But he goes on Morning Joe, and then like after this is like a leak phone call of his where he admits to what the Anti Defamation League's plan actually is. So it's like 4 minutes long. We'll get through it.
Let's be frank about it. We've been on this show. We've talked about Instagram. We've talked about Twitter or X, and you've seen my back and forth with Elon Musk. But we need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will,
Yes.
is the
Mika
20
Brzezinski agreed.
That was it.
Yeah, here it is, Jonathan Greenblatt. You were right about the last name, but yeah, Mika heard Mika like yes, we definitely like she can't wait to get rid of TikTok. You know.
24/7 news channel of so many of our young people, and it's like Al Jazeera on steroids.
He compares TikTok to Al Jazeera. That's how desperate he is.
I mean, the thing is, like, this entire thing here, this is solely politically driven, right? Like, I think, one thing that I always try to tell myself, and it's not easy because I can wholly get sucked in, and I do on a daily basis, but it's like, if you watch all of this bullshit, whether it's him, I don't care who it is, from just kind of this like, not like, I'm not saying emotional as a way to demean, but just sort of a very kind of human perspective of like, this makes no sense. This is wrong. I don't know if he believes any of the bullshit he's about to spew. He may or he may not, but it's political. It's a game. Like, and that goes for all of these people. Biden gets up there, cringe Jean-Pierre, whatever the hell her name is. And they say these things and you're watching it and you're like, oh my God, this is insane. This is nuts. She's an idiot. How could you? It's political. Don't even know if they fucking believe it.
Karine Jean-Pierre is probably one of the worst press secretaries we ever had.
Oh my God.
I mean, her job essentially is to do propaganda against the American people. And she can't even do that properly.
No.
The woman can't even do that properly. So yeah, I'm trying. Let's continue playing this, and then I'm looking for some other tweet and real quick, but
amplifying and intensifying the anti-Semitism and the anti-Zion with no repercussions. I've got to ask, Joe, like there's been a lot of lamentations about the fact that TikTok's ownership is Chinese, but you know what? Oracle owns 10% of the company. General Atlantic owns a piece of the company.
Oracle, General Atlantic.
Our friends at Sequoia Capital own a piece.
Sequoia Capital, and he says our friends, like he's friends with these capitalists there.
The company. So does Sequoia and General Atlantic, does Oracle want to be responsible for spreading anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism?
It's all just done from this very like emotional, like tug at your heartstrings perspective, and everybody does this. I don't care if we're talking about war, I don't care if we're talking about gender, I don't care if we're talking about race. Everybody does this bullshit, right?
No doubt.
And all you do then is actually cheapen those very real things to mean absolutely nothing, because it's like, well, so anytime you don't like something, it's racism, it's anti-Semitism, it's transphobia, it's blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you've just completely and wholly cheapened it to where when those things do actually occur, and all of those things actually occur, it's like it's either mocked or just dismissed or whatever, because it's just cheap. It's a political strategy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and both sides do it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, both sides do the even the left, and I'm nominally a part of the left at this point. I say nominally because not really, but I'm more homeless politically now than I've ever been. But yeah, even the left does this. They're like, what about the children? And they use like the heading of the issue. And look, in Israel, Palestine, there are millions of Palestinian children that have been hurt or killed. So so there's legitimate reason to use children there, but a lot of times they use emotional porn where places where it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I can give examples, but we can, that's another conversation for another day.
Time to talk about TikTok, and I think we need members of Congress to be asking them, why are they doing it up? And let me be clear, I've met with Shou Chu, the CEO. I've talked to their leadership, but it is long past time for TikTok and its owners and its investors to step up and say, enough, we're going to take action.
Yeah. Frank Ford, do you have teenage kids?
I do.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it is amazing what our children, what their friends, what younger people are getting, the unfiltered anti-Semitic bile that they're getting every day off of TikTok. And again, I didn't understand what was going on.
Anti-Semitic bile.
Well, you know what I find interesting about this too is like, okay, so we're gonna that's the hill we're gonna go on with this, but we don't care, on TikTok that confused young girls are basically being indoctrinated to cut their breasts off for the revolution or whatever. Like that's fine. We're not concerned about that. That's like such a big thing on TikTok is all the gender madness. But let's talk about anti-Semitism on TikTok, which, by the way, again, I don't care what we're talking about, whether it's anti-Semitism or racism or homophobia, put in any of the phobias you want, Islamophobia, I don't care what it is. We have this really big problem where it's we've sort of decided, okay, you can't be one of those things. We're getting into thought crime here. No, actually, someone can be a racist. Someone can be a Holocaust denier. Someone cannot like trans people just because they don't. And none of that is criminal. None of that warrants someone being kicked out of society or, denounced or whatever. People are entitled to their own thoughts. Now, when your thoughts go into, actually harmful action or things are getting legislated on behalf of any kind of prejudice, that's a different conversation. But this whole thing is oh my God, they're seeing, anti-Semitism, they're seeing anti this, they're seeing anti that. Well, what people are allowed to say things. You can adopt any position you want. I don't care. So it's a weird thing because again, it's the emotional part where it's they're this, they're that. So you have to ban this thing. First of all, you ban something, it doesn't make the idea go away. It doesn't make the thought go away. So
makes it worse.
This just seems totally absurd, regardless of what platform we're talking about. I mean, you see them do it on Twitter too, right? Twitter's it's so white supremacist and it's far right and it breeds harm. It's people can say things. You don't have to like them. You don't have to agree. You can find them abhorrent, actually.
Yeah, you can.
But they're still allowed to say those things. And we used to have a fundamental understanding of that.
Yes, and what was key to maintaining that right at one point in American history was the ACLU, which now they're completely
so corrupt.
Yeah, they have gone off the deep end to the point where now they're trying, they're focused on trans issues and they're focused on the totally wrong thing. I mean, it's they're the American Civil Liberties Union. They focused on First Amendment for decades until Trump came back. Once Trump came around, it's nope. I mean, we got to focus. We got to be anti-Trump. So forget the First Amendment now.
No, they're
killed
an
the ACLU.
They're an activist organization in the most malignant way possible.
I was a member at one point in my life, 20 years ago, when they would actually do good stuff. Yeah,
but they were they're unrecognizable today.
No, today, yeah, definitely. That's why I lament the day. I miss those days at the ACLU when they would defend Nazis. I mean, it's even though Nazis are abhorrent, like you said, but you've used that word, but
that's not the point.
Yeah, exactly. It's there was a famous case where Nazis went through a black neighborhood.
Yep.
Protested, and the ACLU defended the Nazis, saying that no, they have the right to do that. Now, if they want to go through a black neighborhood, that's fine, but there's gonna be issues, but That's their problem. There's not. And they have every right to do it. The police can't stop it. But if they get their asses kicked, then the police have to step in. But yeah, they can't actively stop that demonstration.
Was going on college campuses, why it was happening.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what's going on in college campuses, don't look at the University of Penn, right?
Right.
Look at TikTok.
I mean,
that's where this is.
It makes me despair for the world that they're going to inhabit, just the low quality of the informational ecosystem in which they exist, where demagoguery.
Whoops. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened
Been
there.
on this show, we've talked about Instagram. We've talked about
it reloaded.
Amazing.
It reloaded itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let me get to the phone call because this is sick of Joe Scarborough
Yeah.
and these assholes running their mouths here. Trying to well, it looks like there's some internet issues here. Why is this? I'm gonna have to reload this page. Excuse the technical difficulties, but yeah, I mean, let me see if I can get this to work so we can actually get to the phone call. But yeah, I mean, these people are complete. All right, here we go. I got it. Let's make sure. I can't get to the goddamn phone call. Like it crashes. But yeah, I mean, it's like these people are just fucking. You know what? Let's just do that. This is a leaked phone call from Jonathan Greenblatt. All right, let's just play it from here. It'll get to the phone call.
Check out TikTok.
There it is.
Numbers of young people who think that Hamas's massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like, fast. Because again, like, we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation.
It isn't a left-right divide. The next generation, we have to get to the next generation, which means getting rid of TikTok.
It's just a ridiculous thing because again, like you're giving a platform way too much power. Like the fact that he's more worried about something like TikTok, which again, I agree is a fucking cesspool, but like the fact that we're going to hold that above actually now realizing how wholly corrupt the bulk of universities are, and I'm not at all just talking about like with relation to the Middle East. I think if anything, that whole controversy with those the heads of those colleges, I think that like the one major thing that did was sort of expose how hypocritical these universities are, because they're up there being like, oh no, we're just bastions of free expression and free speech and free thought. Well, no, the fuck you are not, because we have stories of professors who have been silenced for their speech, who have been fired or denied tenure because they dared to say biological sex was real, because they opposed, mass immigration, whatever it was. So let's not pretend that all of a sudden, just because you're basically finding yourself in some kind of woke existential crisis, that like you've always been these amazing human laboratories of an intellectual playground where you're allowed to think and question, and none of that is true. So that was kind of the most appalling thing to me. The most grotesque thing was like, this is just so disingenuous, because you're like, oh, well, no, we let them say this because we value free speech. No, you're letting them say this One, because a college's code of conduct for what constitutes harassment is different from the First Amendment. So that's like one thing nobody's really talking about. And two, because you don't know how to play the politics of this, because this is very, very inconvenient all of a sudden. But this has nothing to do with these universities being like, we value free speech. No, things just got really inconvenient for you all of a sudden, so that's what you're going to go to try to get yourself out of trouble. But
Yep.
that was just a big exposure. It's like, okay, you're all wholly corrupt, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they are all like just absolutely corrupt. And the one thing that I hate about that I love about a TikTok ban is this kid and this dork Harry Sisson. I mean,
Oh,
he makes
Harry.
it he makes his living on he and his little buddies make their living on TikTok being pro Democrat party. And guess now he's kind of screwed. He's like, it says here breaking, not a fan. What do you think? I can't play the video. I don't have the video. This is what.
So I have this theory. I don't know if I'm going to be right about this, but I just feel like in 10 or 15 years, if we're all still around and still standing and whatever, that there's just going to be some kind of like really intense, mind-blowing documentary that comes out about people like Harry Sisson. Do you know what I mean? That's just going to be like this incredible expose or behind the scenes, and he'll be like on his like fourth rehab stint by then, or so, do you know what I mean? Where I just feel like we're gonna get the
Yeah, the
untold
money.
story of Harry Sisson in like 15 years.
Yeah, the money is like they do it for the money. It's like they don't actually give a crap, but they
No.
do it for the money. And I think his buddy and him went on a podcast like a while
What's
ago.
his friend? Is it
Um,
Chris? I
Chris
can't.
Morrow, something like that. I know it's Chris, his first name, his little butt buddy. And they went on this podcast. I forget, Tim Dillon's show, I think it was, and they admitted like, oh yeah, we do it for the money. If we didn't get paid, we wouldn't be Democrats. And they kind of like, oh shit, we shouldn't have said that. Please don't show this part of the podcast. Like, and of course they did because because like, oh yeah, that's big news. These guys admitted that they wouldn't be Democrats. It wasn't for the money. So,
No, I mean he's so like he's like, first of all, he's like the embodiment of like Adderall. I mean, just as a drug, like he is just such a like he's up here all the time.
mhm.
He it Yeah, I feel like there's going to be the rise and the fall of these poor kids.
Yeah. Hello, Golden. Thank you for joining. Make sure you like.
Hi,
And
Golden.
I never met Karen before, but hello. Yeah, I mean she's been on 3 times before, so. But yeah, but she's a great guest, and I'm glad to have her on. But make sure you like.
Thank you.
you know. And yeah, have you seen? Whoops, have you seen or you heard about this debate that Norman Finkelstein had with Destiny,
You
the
know,
gamer?
like very peripherally, because like we were saying before we came on, it's like there is just so much shit going on. You can't possibly you have to kind of pick and choose. And I didn't do a deep dive on that only because I was like, Destiny's a complete, like, I don't have, there's no, why is anyone engaging with Destiny? Like, I'm not,
Yeah,
this is not about like, oh, cancel someone. I'm just like, why are we even entertaining this fool? There is no
yes,
point. This is not, he does not debate. It's like, this is so stupid. So I didn't even need to watch it.
yes.
I'm just like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Destiny's a fool.
Yeah, that's the amazing part. And I tweeted about this too. Why would Norman Finkelstein and Glenn Greenwald, another one, give him the time of day?
Why?
I
Yeah,
mean, it's like,
exactly. Because then it also just makes them look kind of silly. And again, I'm not saying that in the way that it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't engage with people who, think differently than you. No, that's fine. That's good. But Destiny doesn't think, okay? He's not like a thinking, rational, intelligent being. Like it's ridiculous. you
Yes.
know, I just don't get it. It just seems like in the other ones, it's like, way to like cheapen yourself by doing this bullshit. It doesn't make you guys look very good either.
Yes. This debate here was on, I forget whose show it was on. It was damn, I have it here, I think. No, I don't. But I was watching it. It's a 4-hour debate on
Oh my
Israel
God.
Palestine.
It's like
They
a
did a
torture device.
yeah, they
Seriously.
did a 4-hour debate, and I have it. I forget whose podcast it was on. I was watching it early. I only watched the first hour, but whose podcast was it on? It was Lex Friedman's podcast. They did a 4-hour debate. Anyway, and it's like I couldn't believe it. It's like, anyway, this is a clip where Finkelstein calls Destiny a moron. So it's just I found it funny. Oops, let me unmute it.
It is
Mr.
a highly
Farrelly,
special intent
I'm
to be
gonna
convicted
ask you
of
again.
genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry if you think the declaration of the judge is imbecile.
Don't put on public display that you're a moron. At least have the self-possession to shut up. Did I read?
Please don't display your imbecility towards me.
So here's the thing. Like, I've watched maybe 2, maybe 3 debates where Destiny was involved, and it doesn't matter who Destiny is debating. Destiny's always going to look like a moron. So it's like, this was, and there's nothing at this point brave or revolutionary about calling Destiny a moron. You know, it's just
I agree, but I love it.
No, I mean, cool. But yeah, it's always fun to kind of watch somebody get sort of intellectually, like, kind of pistol whipped, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, and I don't even understand why him. Like I said, I didn't watch this debate, but whatever side he was supposed to be arguing, I don't care what it was. You could have found someone who was of much higher respectability and intellect to actually argue it. So I just don't understand why him. I'm not saying silence the position. I'm saying at least choose someone that's like, again, yes, that doesn't just parade, spread eagle their idiocy.
Yeah, but the logic, I guess, is since he's a gamer and has such a big audience that okay, let's bring him on and bring his audience with him in order to get more views for the podcast.
See, that's kind of to why, unfortunately, debate has become such a perverted and kind of pornographic entity, because it's really become about like the clicks and the views and the audience and the one-liners, and it's not actually an intellectual exercise where both sides are going to try to convince the other, but also you have to be intellectually open enough to recognize a good point, a new way of seeing something, a concession. Like it just ends up being this, like, you know, it's just kind of,
but
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, but Destiny is so arrogant and condescending that even Kyle Kalinske will tell him to calm down. I mean, it's like
who Destiny is.
Yeah, he's worse than Kyle. I mean, it's like he's so arrogant and condescending. He doesn't know anything about anything, but he's so arrogant and condescending about it that he gets. But this one's funny too, to me at least. Mr. Borelli,
Mr. Bennell, don't change the subject. If you don't know what you're talking about, at least have the humility. You talk about chapter 6. You don't know chapter 6. You don't know chapter 6 from tweet 5. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's just so embarrassing. At least have some humility. Between us, we've read maybe 10,000 books on the topic, and you've read 2 Wikipedia entries, and you start talking about chapter 6. Do you know what chapter 7 is?
Nope.
Special intent. Did you read the case?
Yeah.
It is
Mr.
a highly
Torelli,
special intent
I'm
to be
going to
convicted
ask you
of
again.
genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry if you think the Declaration of the College is imbecile.
Don't put on public
Even
display.
the dude next to him, the one who's supposed to be on this side, he's laughing at him. This dude right here.
First of all, one thing about Destiny is that, like, seriously, my relationship advice to everyone is to, like, find someone that loves you the way Destiny loves Wikipedia, because that is like his Bible, his gospel. Like, Destiny, nobody loves Wikipedia more than Destiny. And
yeah, that's his main source for everything.
Bring that as a source to what is supposed to be an actual respectable intellectual exercise such as debate, it's just completely laughable. Like, it's ridiculous.
I don't know exactly the other guys next to them, but they're experts. The one next to Destiny is a pro-Zionist, and the one next to Finkelstein is anti-Zionist. So I do know that, but I don't know their exact names. If you're
I didn't
asking,
recognize them. I didn't
yeah,
recognize
I didn't either. I didn't either, but
it's
yeah.
just ridiculous. And again, like, so much of these debates just end up being like, you can't even hear what anyone's saying because they're just shouting at each other. It just...
No, it isn't about that, as you said. It's about the clicks and the views, which is why they had Destiny
and
on.
building their audience and playing to their audience, and also building their brand. Like, Destiny, yeah, I absolutely believe that he is at his core an idiot. But at the same time, at this point, he has a brand, he has a character, he knows his audience. Like, what you see is probably him amplified. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what he is. He's just a loudmouth little gamer. And look, and I kind of said this. I tweeted at him earlier today, and I'm trying to find it because I don't want to misquote myself. Let's see. I tweet so much that it's a bit ridiculous. Let's see. Where is it? Why am I not finding my tweet? Because I tweet so much, it's ridiculous. It's not like
you should
no.
like bookmark it.
I should have bookmarked it. Yeah, I tweet so much. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, it was earlier in the day, so it's like I couldn't find it. But people like Destiny and Kyle Kalinske need to be told in no uncertain terms they're not as smart as they think they are. Norman Finkelstein does it perfectly here. Yeah, I mean, we need, like, these people need to be told that they're not as smart as they think they are. And
I mean, it doesn't do anything, but it
it
certainly
wouldn't.
can
Oh,
feel
this is the one I'm looking for.
good.
Yeah, that was the wrong one, but yeah, this is the one that when the fuck did Gamer Destiny all of a sudden become political commentator? Bitch, get out of my lane. Go back to playing your video games. And I tagged him in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just send him back to, Mario Brothers, whatever it is. It's just so ridiculous that just like that debate, right, just in a way becomes like its own parody all the way around, because it's like, this is totally absurd,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to briefly touch on it, because it's 4 hours long. I mean,
I don't know who could sit through that. I couldn't sit through 10 minutes of it, because that's 4 hours of your life that you're never getting back.
No, and I think Cenk Uger's debate with Sam Harris was like 3.5 hours. So it was like, it wasn't even that long, And both Cenk Uger and Sam Harris have been kind of become jokes these days. So it's like, but that was years ago. And I watched the whole 3.5 hours, and both Cenk like an idiot, and Sam Harris wasn't that well regarded either. Well, quickly, I wanted to get through this. Bernie Sanders is doing his own thing again. He introduced a bill which makes the work week, instead of 40 hours, 32 hours. So I'm going to quickly, destroy this. The 32-hour work week by Bernie Sanders is so radical that blah blah blah. A bunch of people support it. Blah 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 blah. Here's the issue with it: it's never going to pass. That's one. Two, more importantly, it's just virtue signaling by Bernie Sanders, because he knows it's never going to pass.
This is like a desperate attempt to become relevant again.
Yeah, introducing the 4-day work week, 32-hour work week. And by the way, the claim is your pay wouldn't be decreased either. Even though I don't buy that, because if you work 8 less hours a week, unless you put it into law, you're going to get paid less. I mean, unless there's something I'm not understanding about Bernie's bill, but if you work 8 hours per week less, you're going to get paid less.
I mean, I can't really speak to it because I didn't even see that story, and I haven't read the bill, so I only know what you put up on the screen. So I don't know, but I mean, come on, it just seems like theatrics,
Yeah, that's exactly what this bill is. It's political theater. And Bernie Sanders just getting the internet clout, like, oh, you see, I'm doing something. I'm introducing 8-hour work week bills, or 8 hours less, and we swear you're going to get paid the same amount you get paid right now, even though you're working 8 hours less. But yeah, the 4-day work week is fine. But
that's not my issue. Like, okay, great, if that, like, for sure, but like, this is just a whole desperation campaign because they think they're going to lose in November, and they absolutely deserve to lose in November.
They will, unless something happens unexpectedly where all of a sudden Trump wins the election. But Biden wins re-election somehow, but it's very unlikely at this point, because he's deeply unpopular. He's what, at 30% Biden, and there's no way he can win re-election with that number. And I can't find my tweet right now, but in that lane in Minnesota, I'm not sure you saw the story or not, but they increased the pay of rideshare workers, Lyft and Uber and stuff.
Oh, I didn't see that.
They passed a bill, forcing a pay increase. As soon as that happened, immediately here comes Lyft, like, oh yeah, we're not operating in Minnesota anymore. And Uber saying they're going to shut down most operations in Minnesota, unless it's like towards the airport and stuff. So here's, again, I said this on Twitter, and it's like, okay, these virtue signaling bills are great. I mean, it's like, hey, they get a pay increase. But what's the response from the corporation? Like, they're going to be like, oh, okay, nothing we can do about it. We got to pay them more. No, they're going to shut down operations and fuck off to the other 49 states where they are allowed to, pay as little as they want. And those people now lost their jobs, basically. So it's a tough situation. I'm not saying they shouldn't get their pay raised, but at the same time, now they get nothing because Uber and Lyft have fucked off, to the other 49 states. So it's the same thing. I talked to Snow Himbo last week when we discussed there's Arizona, Minnesota again, and Maine. They passed a bill to buy up all the medical debt in the state and clear it, so you don't have no more medical debt. And I told, and Kyle Kalinske did a video, praising this bill. It's like, oh my God, this is great. This will be done nationally. No more medical debt. We buy up all the medical debt and forgive it. And I pointed out to him, or in the comment section of his video, he didn't see it, I'm sure, but I put in the comment section, like, you do understand there's people that's chronically ill, right? And what happens to their debt? Their debt will come right back. Not only that, but it'll double or triple because they're sick and they need constant medical care. And now these private hospitals are going to realize, like, hey, the government's eventually going to pay us, so let's double and triple what we charge right now. And then they'll have to pay us eventually because they have to virtue signal towards their base. So it just fucks people worse than what they were before. So yeah, again, these liberals never dig underneath the surface. Like, as Mr. Perfect is Perfect says, what's the catch? What's the catch? There's always a catch to these bills.
The essentially what liberals or progressives, leftism sort of centers itself on now, other than just, dividing people by like race or whatever, is just they want policies like the actual material condition that the policy will create is of far less importance than how compassionate the policy sounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they care about. They want these very compassionate sounding policies.
Yeah.
That's where it ends.
Yeah, it sounds compassionate. I mean, but it really isn't. It's insidious because ultimately it's an election year. So all these Democrats are virtue signaling towards their base.
100%.
And they cut like, oh yeah, we bought up all this debt and we forgave it. But they're not telling you that in a few years, your debt, if you're chronically ill at least, your debt will go way up. And then they won't be there to pay it. Or if they do, it'll be years down the road.
It's not their problem. Like, they don't care, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they do not care if you die.
Mm-hmm. It's not just the private hospitals, but politicians, too.
No, that's who I'm talking about. They don't give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be elected.
Yeah, which is why morons like Kyle Kalinske, who uses too much peroxide on his head and too much Just for Men on his beard. I mean, have you seen what this guy looks like lately? He has the way too much peroxide in his beard.
On
yeah, I know. I'm not expecting you to watch him,
probably
but
like 6 months. Like, and I mean, watched him. That sailed back in like probably 2022. But like, even just to go see what he looks like, it's been like easily 6 months.
I mean, he looks like a man who is desperately trying to appeal to his wife. Like she likes the blonde-haired men, so let me peroxide my hair. Oh, she doesn't like gray hair. Okay, let me use Just for Men on my beard. Even though he looks like he's absolutely ridiculous. So, but I digress. He doesn't. I don't want to keep going about Kyle, but yeah, I want to get to the continuation of the migrant crisis, aka the illegal alien crisis, because
Look
now
at this. We have rebooted Logan Airport, I see, as a shelter.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tagged you on a response to this. I don't, but it says the follower lives to TikTok. The follower just sent me this video. This Logan Airport in Boston this week. They still have illegals sleeping on the floor. Democrats turned Boston into a sanctuary city. They turned the office buildings, rec centers, and hotels into housing for illegals. But there's overflow. This is what they voted for. So yeah, this is some dude recorded this.
Are you freaking kidding me? Bro, this is fucking ridiculous. They still got illegals here at the fucking airport in Boston. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Look at all these fucking people just camped out here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I told you, like I tagged you on Twitter in that tweet, they was like, how do you feel? How would like these business people who walk into Boston Logan Airport, looking around like there's all these homeless people here. Why would I come here and do business? And then that affects the local economy because they're not going to want to come to Boston, especially all these people they're sleeping in the airport, and who knows if they're criminals or they're crazy, and then they'll try to rob them or something.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but in yesterday in Rockland, Massachusetts, they arrested an illegal immigrant who raped a disabled 15-year-old child.
I saw that story.
Yeah.
I saw that story. And then
so it's just, I mean, it's literally, it's just so, I don't really even have words to describe this whole crisis. Like, I think I said to you on Twitter a couple days ago that like, I cannot remember a more just overt, vulgar power grab at the expense of the safety and security of U.S. citizens than what we're seeing with the border. There is nothing that I can point to. So,
Yeah, like we talked about the last time you were on. I mean, the migrant crisis with it's getting worse now since the last time we talked. So I saw this video just now. It compares what Americans have to go through in U.S. airports compared to what the illegal aliens at the border have to go through. So I muted it because there's music here. I don't want to take the chance of copyright, but yeah, on top is the airport, which we have to go through, and this is the border in the bottom. They don't check anything in the border. It's like, meanwhile, here at the airport, look what we have to go through. We and citizens have to be patted down. They touch our dicks, they touch our asses or vaginas if you're a woman, and they make us go through machines here, which they see everything. By the way, they see everything from your penis to vagina to ass. They see everything. You're nude once you go to that machine. And I've walked through airports. I'm like, I mean, you saw everything, right? It's like, yeah, it was like, what the fuck? I mean, but yeah, in the border, you don't have to go through anything. Hell, there's not enough border agents to barely check you, but yeah, you just walk right through. I mean, they touch everything at the airports. If you're an American, if you're a migrant or illegal alien, then no, they don't even bother looking at you.
No, you don't even have to give them a name.
No. All you have to do is this. All you have to do is say, I'm applying for asylum. They process you and then release you into the streets of America. And they give you a court date, which is like 6 months to a year from now. They give you a court date, and then it's like, then you don't come to the court date, and they can't track you. Then you never see them again. They're basically blending with Americans and unfortunately commit crimes.
And the crimes aren't being prosecuted, essentially for political reasons, but then they have to like shame the public and be like, oh, well, you're just xenophobic and you just hate immigrants. And like, no, bitch, I want to be raped. Like, how about that? So it's just, it's so ridiculous, but it really does feel like they are trying to import a new underclass that I don't know how. I know there's all this stuff about, well, we're gonna make sure they can vote, but there's these different theories. I think that if the Democrats were able to install something like that, I believe that they would. I don't know if they can, but I do believe that they would.
There's multiple insidious angles to this. The other one, which haven't been discussed, is the fact that you can use illegal aliens in your count in your state's population
for the census, right?
Yes, you can use. That's why Trump tried to institute a citizenship question, and of course, that everybody melted down, saying that how dare you ask whether citizens or not? Why? Because Democrats use that in their count, their citizenship, their count in their states, and they get more congressional seats because of these illegal aliens, even though they're not citizens. So they get more congressional seats. They have more power, and they're able to pass their agenda, whoever it is, So it's insidious. They use these people as population centers in blue states in order to get more population counts and to get more congressional seats, like California or New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, all these blue states. That's why they're sanctuary cities too, sanctuary states, because that way, they can have more population count, even though a lot of actual citizens are moving out of these blue states. California has a record number of people moving out and fucking off to Texas or Florida or wherever. And in New Jersey, we also have population decrease. I want to move out of this fucking state.
I want to move out of my blue state. Make no mistake. I would love to move out of my blue state. It's just, it's hard for people because there's roots, you're tied to family stuff, different things, whatever it is. And it's just, but oh my God, more and more seriously kind of thinking like, okay, well, I don't know and it's not just around illegal immigration. There's a lot of things that I think are the reason that people are fleeing blue states. And I don't know how much of this stuff is going to get better, kind of no matter who is president, because like it or not, the president is actually not an elected king, or not supposed to be, so
Yeah.
you have a whole bureaucratic state that you're fighting as well. So it is possible that some things might get better under Trump, some of the things that are really bringing blue cities down. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But either which way, we are seeing that these very progressive run cities are utterly collapsing.
Yeah. And they're going to get worse if Trump is look, there's a desperation that to the point where if Trump is reelected, there's going to be a call to just mass deportations and that we've never seen before, even under Obama when he was a deporter in chief. I mean, it's going to get much worse. And I'm quite frankly, and I know a lot of people that I know on the left will disagree with me, but quite frankly, I'd be fine with it.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
You got me with you. Because look, the problem is you went to such an extreme. So I don't know what to tell you.
Quite frankly, I'd be fine with it, even though there's a lot of I'm a Latino and a lot of Hispanics that are coming in, but I would be fine with the mass deportations. And also, as Mr. Perfect is perfect saying, no money. It's
No
another reason
money.
why I can't move out of the state either, because I'm stuck here. Unless if I had money, maybe I would be able to fuck off to I don't know, because I thought about like Georgia or Alabama, these red states, that are much cheaper to live in than
Sure.
New Jersey. In order to live comfortably here, you have to make like $500,000 a year. I mean, if you're poor in this state or middle class, you're screwed.
I mean, I think what we're seeing too, like, is that people are really just kind of fleeing city centers, right?
Yeah.
Going a little bit more out, a little bit more rural. It feels like you have more autonomy. It feels like you can breathe a little bit more. And I say this as a like city girl in my soul. So it's been very hard to reconcile that what I think of when I think of the city that I was born and raised and spent the bulk of my life in, it doesn't really exist anymore. Do you know what I mean? And that's been it's daily. It's a very, very bitter pill to swallow. But what I'm reminiscing for doesn't exist.
No. And it's unfortunate because I'm a city guy too. I've spent most of my life in not a big city. My city is like 80,000 people. So it's not like New York City, but yeah, I mean, I want to get out of this city too. I'm gonna.
The report describes
Jamie Raskin has a meltdown here. This is the Robert Hur hearings.
Oh, you know what? I tried to watch some of this morning because I had some time, and I knew we were going to talk about it, and I was like, ooh, I'm not fully up. Like, I knew very minimal. I'm like, let me at least watch some of this. So
I can summarize it real quick. This is Robert Hur is going to be just testifying here. He's the special prosecutor in the Biden classified files case, and and he's testifying in front of Congress because they all want to virtue signal and grandstand and use their talking points and use him as a proxy, but he's basically testifying. Republicans are mad at him because he didn't recommend charges against Biden.
For Biden.
And the Democrats are mad at him because Robert Hur basically told the truth and said Joe Biden's not well. Like he forgot when his son died. He forgot how he died. He forgot. He doesn't remember when he was vice president, which was true. It's on the transcript of the interview. It's like, when was I vice president? 2008 or I left office 2013, right, or something to that effect. I mean, he just started his second term as vice president in 2013, but yeah, I mean, he told the truth. Like, I can't charge this guy because he's not well mentally. That's why Democrats are angry and having a meltdown over that. So this is Jamie Raskin melting down. I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm going to play this real quick. I'll be right back. So
okay,
just give me a minute.
Okay, sure.
Be back.
Gentleman from Maryland for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hur, your report starts with the line, "We conclude that no criminal charges are warranted in this matter." Have you had any reason to change your opinion about that?
No, ranking member.
You highlight the independence and support you got from the Attorney General and DOJ. Have you changed your mind about that?
I have not.
The report describes President Biden's cooperation in your requests. He allowed his homes to be searched. He answered questions for hours in the midst of a global crisis. Have you had any reason to change your mind about that?
No, ranking member.
All right. You also repeatedly contrast Biden's cooperation with the conduct of Donald Trump. You say, quote, most notably, after being given multiple chances to return classified documents and avoid prosecution, Mr. Trump allegedly did the opposite. According to the indictment, he not only refused to return the documents for many months, but he also obstructed justice by enlisting others to destroy evidence and then to lie about it. Have you any reason to change your judgment about the differences between President Biden's cooperation and the former president's non-cooperation?
No, I continue to stand by those words in my report.
With such a striking contrast, our colleagues have switched over from being impeachment investigators for constitutional high crimes and misdemeanors, which is how this whole thing started, to being amateur memory specialists, giving us their drive-by
The issue is when I drink beer, it's an old saying. I don't actually buy it. We rent beer. You know, it goes right through me. So I'm trying to hold it in, but I was like, no, I can't hold it in anymore. That's what happens.
Diagnoses of the President of the United States, whose soaring oratory, powerful historical analysis, and devastating extemporaneous repartee with even the most skilled ninja hecklers of the Freedom Caucus were on full display at the State of the Union address last week for the whole country to see. The desperate quest to invent an issue is a distraction from the 91 federal and state federal charges that Donald Trump faces now, his staggering civil court losses in New York now totaling more than $500 million, and his full-blown embrace and romance with authoritarian dictators and communist tyrants all over the world, from Viktor Orban in Hungary to Vladimir Putin in Russia, the former...
They're not communists. Orban and Putin are not communists.
Yeah, but that's one of those things where, anything that and I hate when I see people on the right do this, because especially when they're otherwise very intelligent people, but we're very brainwashed about something like communism in this country, and I understand why, but there is such a misunderstanding on both the right and the left about what the fuck they think communism is. And I'm not even making a value judgment one way or the other, because it is not my expertise, but I do know enough to know that for the right, it becomes a catch-all for everything that they oppose. And I think one of the reasons that happens is because then you have absolute woke idiots on the left calling themselves communists, who think that it's all about pronouns and intersectionality and gender, and it's no, motherfucker, no, not in the least. So I get how that happens, because it's well, they're saying they're this thing. Yes, and they're total idiots. They're wrong. So it becomes this kind of catch-all in either direction. So you kind of just have to go, yeah, all right, I take it with a grain of salt. Just keep going, but no.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's another issue with he's referring more to Biden, but Orban and Putin are not dictators, one. And the reason why they're mad at Orban is because he's pro-Putin. He aligned himself with Putin over the United States. I'm surprised they haven't overthrown Viktor Orban yet of Hungary. But let's get to Representative Jayapal is triggered when Special Counsel Robert Hur says he did not exonerate Joe Biden in the classified documents case.
Okay,
which is another thing.
Her state, she's her state of being is triggered. We don't need to say she is triggered. She's constantly triggered. The entire squad is constantly in a state of trigger.
Yeah, and they said it's another issue Democrat has. They claimed that Robert Hur exonerated Joe Biden. He's like, no, I didn't. Clearly, I said that he was guilty, but the issue is I can't prosecute him because the jury will see him as a old man well-meaning old man.
Yeah, he's
That's
on
the exact
low.
quote. Yeah, he's a well-meaning old man that doesn't remember anything. So I don't think I can get a conviction, which is why he wouldn't prosecute him. And the Democrats are turning that into, well, I mean, you declared him innocent, right? And it's like, no, I didn't, or you exonerated him. So this is like a minute long. So there's, oops.
So this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden.
No, it didn't.
For every document you discussed in your report, you found insufficient evidence that the president violated any laws about possession or retention of classified materials. The primary law that you analyzed for potential prosecution was part of the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793E, which criminalizes willful retention or disclosure of national defense information. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, that is one statute that we analyzed. I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that
I'm
appears
going
in
to
the
continue
report,
with my question.
See, she stops him there. When she tried to correct her, she stopped. No, I'm going to take back my time. Watch.
I'm going to continue with my questions. I know that
she asked her question, and then he tried to answer it, and then she interrupted her. I'm like, no, I'm going to continue my question, because I don't like your answer.
Term
I ultimately reached
I know that
whether
the term,
sufficient evidence existed.
She's talking over him.
That the likely outcome.
You exonerated him.
No, you didn't.
I know that the term willful retention has a.
Mr.
Hur, it's my time.
See, it's my time. The classic, "It's my time" from Maxine Waters, from years ago. When she was, "It's my time." Fuck you. I'm not let you answer.
Imagine though if it was reversed, right? Like imagine if she was trying to give some kind of testimony information and then some man just kept interrupting. Like imagine the difference if it were reversed.
Yeah.
But she's entitled to just be like, to do her, slay queen girl boss thing that we're supposed to just be like, oh yeah, oh my God, she's so amazing. What an amazing leader. It's like, no, you're just fucking insufferable. This is obnoxious. This is like just it's the entitlement of it. Like it's just absurd. And I'm sorry, she can get away with doing that because she's a woman in politics. And so she's fighting patriarchy. She's fighting oppression. That's why she can do that.
Yeah, it's the same like Maxine Waters. She's the first one that I'm taking back my time. Yay, slay queen and all that stuff.
Exactly.
That was back during the Trump administration when I forget who was testifying in front of Congress at the time, but that's the first time I heard that. So this is going to be Representative Cohen. So basically he's going to defend the president in the most sycophantic, sickening way you can imagine. So I'm going to let this play. I mean, you can't be more sycophantic than Representative Cohen here.
Down to them. That's what's important. Not if you can be like on the $64,000 question, assuming it was legit, and answering every single question correctly. That's not what you need to be president. To be president, you need to have values. You need to have an understanding of what values America has and needs to maintain to keep the world safe and peaceful. That's dealing with Ukraine. That's dealing with.
Yeah, this is so sycophantic and such like bootlicking that it's sickening. Look at Robert Hur's face. Like, what the fuck is it? I mean, this is a political statement. It's not a question towards me, obviously.
Difficult people like Netanyahu in Israel to try to get something.
It's Netanyahu, not Netanyahu, but okay. You screwed up his name too.
Done that's correct. That's what Joe Biden does.
Yeah, it's sycophantic ass kissing. Like it's sickening. It's like nobody in that hearing did it worse than Cohen did. I mean, it's like it is straight up kiss Joe Biden's ass in like the worst way possible. I mean, that's so sycophantic that it's like, ugh.
I saw Cori Bush, her testimony. Did you see that one?
When she asked, I might have it here. I don't know.
Where she literally took her entire time to just talk about Trump. Like that was what she used her time for.
I don't have it, but
I
could probably find it.
She called him the white supremacist in chief. Like, just
yes, I saw that.
Fuck up! Like, just stop it. It's
So
such histrionics. It's just so ridiculous.
yeah. So this is another crime here. Another what was revealed in the report. Special counsel Herr states that shortly after his appointment to probe the classified document scandal, Biden's ghostwriter sought to destroy evidence. So what this is referring to, Joe Biden had a ghostwriter write a book for him, his biography, and it turns out that Joe Biden gave this author classified information
Yes, I saw that
accidentally,
part of this.
and he wrote his book based on that. And once they realized Joe Biden's mistake, they tried to destroy the evidence to author. But of course, he won't be charged because let's say if Trump did that, that ghostwriter definitely be charged. But because it's Biden, he can get away with his crimes. So this is a major revelation from that report.
What did that ghostwriter do with the information Joe Biden shared with him on his laptop? What did he do after you were named special counsel?
Chairman, if you're referring to the audio recordings that Mr. Zwanitzer created of his conversations with
exactly
Mr.
what
Biden,
I'm referring to.
He slid, if I remember correctly, he slid those files into his recycle bin on his computer.
Tried to destroy the evidence, didn't he?
Yep, exactly what he did. So yeah, he destroyed evidence. I mean, or he tried to. They found it before he can do it, but he tried to destroy evidence, which is another major revelation from this hearings and the report. But it's so horrible, man. I mean, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I mean, here's the thing with the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, because the Democrats keep insisting it's different from Donald Trump, and it is, but it's not different the way they think it is. Donald Trump was president of the United States for 4 years. So there's something called the Presidential Records Act, which basically gives the president carte blanche to declassify or classify whatever he wants, except for nuclear secrets, which is why Jack Smith charged Trump with revealing nuclear secrets, because he couldn't charge him with anything else, because the president has the right to declassify or classify anything, whatever he wants. Joe Biden was vice president. He has no authority to have those documents whatsoever to begin with, which is why he returned them immediately. And that's why his author got in trouble, or about to get in trouble, or should have been in trouble for that reason. But he had no authority to see those documents. Joe Biden had no authority to have those documents unless Obama gave him the authority, which he didn't. So he had all these documents that are classified, and he shouldn't have them, which is why he gave it back immediately. Donald Trump was different. He's president of the United States. He had authority to keep those documents and declassify them wherever he wants. So the classified documents case is nonsense. The New York cases are civil, doesn't matter. The other case, the Fannie Willis case, that's going down in flames too. I mean, they've already dismissed like 6 different charges against Trump, and that case is continuing. Though the judge didn't disqualify Fannie Lewis. Basically, what the ruling.
I think my take on that. Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah. I mean, we were going to get to it anyway. So
yeah. So I think, obviously, the judge. I mean, obviously, emotionally, I wanted him to just throw both of them off and disbar her and all the things, right? We all wanted that, that. That would just feel so good. But I think looking at it more rationally, I think this judge, obviously he walked down the middle. I think that he did what he had to do. And I'm not praising him. I'm not enamored with him whatsoever. To me, he seems very just look, beta male judge breeds impotent justice. What can I say? But I think that he's up for re-election. So that was going to, like it or not, that was going to play in. I think that he did what he had to do to keep the woke mob from coming after him and screaming racism and sexism and accusing him of white supremacy and all the things. And at the same time, I think he didn't dismiss her, but I do think that he did enough damage to her where he kind of, and I put this on Twitter, where he kind of, he's outsourcing to an extent the more severe consequences that might befall her from like other entities. Because if you read the decision, it's like, you know, he brings up how egregious some of her contact was and says, well, maybe the ethics, you know, commission from the bar should look at this. And he wounds her enough that it's like, I'm going to open the door for something more severe. But I think essentially what happened with him is that he wasn't willing to swing the sword himself.
No. And like you said, he's up for re-election, one. And two, he worked for Fani Willis at one point.
He donated to her
Yeah.
in 2020. And I didn't understand how that didn't necessarily mean that he should recuse himself from even being in this. That seems kind of weird.
I think once that came, he should have probably recused himself. He worked for Fani Willis when his younger years, and he's like, I can't believe this judge is like 35 years old. He looks like he's 50. I mean, have you seen this judge?
35?
That's what it said. Yeah, and I saw it on an article. It's like 35-year-old judge. I'm like, holy crap! I look younger to him. I'm 37.
Oh my God, he's 30.
He's 35.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't have. He didn't look old to me by any stretch, but I did not think 35. No.
Yeah. In Georgia, a judge can run for election. So as long as you could be pretty young and still be a judge. But yeah, I mean, once it came out that he worked for her and donated to her campaign, it's like, you got to recuse yourself. I mean, you got to get another judge in there. I mean, but as you said, I mean, if he would have disqualified Fani Willis, his re-election bid was done as judge. I mean,
no, he saved himself. But he did have some pretty scathing language for her at certain points in the decision. And again, I think he's sort of outsourcing some other stuff because that case now against Trump, it's not like it's in good shape. Like, it's not like it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
it's falling apart. Yeah.
And so Nathan Wade resigned because there was no way with her and her morbidly obese ego that she was going to take herself out. That was not happening.
The judge basically said either Fani Willis goes or Nathan Wade goes. You both can't stay on this case. And I said on Twitter, even obviously he's going to go. There's no way she would drop this case. It makes her career. She made her career on this case. Even if she doesn't convict Trump, it still makes her career because ultimately she went after Trump.
The other part of it, just kind of from like a trying to look at this in more of a comical way, is that like if you watch the trial, right, like this woman is just so insufferable, but like more than that, so radically incompetent that like, how in the hell is she like, I almost want to watch her try to do this case against Trump. Just, do you know what I mean? Like, because
she's a disaster.
Yeah, she's a disaster.
And she was screwing around with this Nathan Wade guy, even though she knew that she's probably going to get caught. She allegedly used money from the district attorney's office to pay back Nathan Wade for vacations and stuff. He denies that part of the claim, but she allegedly used money, which is misappropriation of funds, which is a federal charge. I mean, it's very serious. What, he's 34? I thought he was 35.
Oh, wow. And she had this whole thing about how, like, well, it was all cash, and I always use cash. Something about racism.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The last time you were on, we had, I played clips of the hearing, and
so crazy.
And she was like, and her father had a weird story, if you remember, about how black people always keep cash in our houses. We learned to do that since we were young for some weird reason. And I made the joke, of course, that the only people who keep a bunch of cash in their house are drug dealers. So yeah, so unless you're dealing drugs, there's no reason to keep a bunch of cash in your house. But yeah, I mean, it's the article I read said 34. Okay, why it's a year younger. Okay, than I thought. I'm 37 and I look younger. That judge has like a balding spot here, and he has, it's like, that's why I have very similar. I have a balding spot here and here, which is why I shaved my head. But I look better like that than having like balding spots over my head.
No,
but
I
I digress.
I like the look.
Thank you. But I digress. But yeah, that judge wasn't going to get rid of Fani Willis. He wasn't going to say, I disqualify Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. And I think she should, but he did say, as you said, like, oh, well, yeah, the Bar Association or the Ethics Committee should look at her and recommend whatever they do, So there's going to probably be charges or a hearing in the Ethics Committee against her. So it's not over for Fani. Not yet.
No, I don't think she's in a good place. I think he allowed her to, retain a little bit of, I guess, so-called dignity, but like he did bruise her pretty good.
Yeah.
Which was just,
Yeah.
He let her off light, honestly, but so I'm hoping like we get kind of an aftermath of something more severe.
Yeah. Let's see. Puppy, yeah, that's her dog, I'm not sure how much of a puppy he is. He looks huge, but
he's there he is.
Oh.
He's 4.
Oh, well,
he's 4, and then I have my very old, amazing 15-year-old pup to my right, sleeping, so I'm not going to bug him. But yeah, they're kind of the odd couple.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get to this real quick. Top constitutional scholar, and why can't I see our faces? That's weird. Oh, here we go. Top constitutional law scholar Jonathan Turley slams Georgia judge while refusing to disqualify. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, she should have been disqualified, but it's politics. I mean,
the reason she wasn't was political. Yeah. Yes, she should have been.
Yeah, it's no way
totally
that
obvious.
I suspected that she's not going to be disqualified. I didn't know that he's running for re-election this year, but I knew that he's not going to put his head out there politically, to disqualify her, because if he did, his career as a judge would be over, even if he was right,
Its own misconduct investigation. In fact,
so the Georgia Senate has opened its own investigation. Governor Kemp could appoint a special prosecutor. Georgia Attorney General could appoint a special prosecutor. So basically, that's another option. So there are other options. Like the Georgia governor can step in and say, no, we got to get rid of her and appoint somebody else. The Attorney General can do it too. So it isn't like, the governor has to do it. So let's see if they do it. I don't see them either like putting themselves out there to try to get rid of Fani Willis, because then all of a sudden liberals turn around and say, oh, you see, they're trying to protect Trump. They're trying to protect Trump. The Fani Willis only one that had the balls to go after him in Georgia. So yeah, so liberals will melt down over it if they try to remove her, but they have the authority to remove her if they so choose to.
Governor Kemp or Georgia Attorney General Christopher Carr could appoint a special prosecutor to investigate and possibly disqualify Willis depending on its findings. Your take?
Well, I think that's certainly true. This is going to continue to undermine the prosecution. From the very beginning of this controversy, Willis has put her interest and those of Mr. Wade ahead of her case, ahead of the interest of the people of Fulton County, and ahead of her office. That's one of the things that is most shocking about this. She should have recused herself weeks ago. And there is this disconnect in the opinion. I get much of what the judge is saying. I think the judge has done a fine job. He's been fair. He's tried to get it right. And I get it when he says, look, I can't say that this relationship is the reason that she brought this case. That's true. Unfortunately, the case was not brought for personal reasons. It was brought for political reasons. I mean,
That's exactly
this is a very politically motivated case, at least extending it to Donald Trump with this rather thin racketeering theory. So I get all of that. What I don't understand is how the court can find that she did act improperly in her public statements. He shreds the testimony. He strongly indicates that he did not believe Mr. Wade. But then he ignores the fact that they testified largely in tandem. Willis adopted his testimony. She supported his testimony. So if he was false, she was false. And it's very hard to separate these conjoined twins. It takes quite a surgeon.
I want to get to this. And Leo, I kind
But the judge pulled it off. You know, he managed to disconnect Wade from Fannie Willis, even though Fannie Willis backed up his testimony entirely. So if he didn't believe Wade, why did he believe Fannie Willis? So it's like it's definitely strange that
I
he
mean,
was
this would have been like, you know, two people commit armed robbery together, and you decide you're only going to send one of them to jail.
Yeah, no, she should have been. Look, she should have stepped down. I mean, as Jonathan Thurley said, there's no reason for her to continue in this case. But I think there's no way, not in a million years. This case
No,
made her
because this is
career.
totally personal to her too.
Yeah, it's made her. It's political because, I mean, people don't tell this part, but a week before she filed the charges, she was at the White House for some reason for a secret meeting with the president.
Oh, I
So
know.
yeah, so people don't talk about that part before she filed the charges. So my sneaking suspicion is if Biden gets reelected, she'll somehow get a role in the administration as a thank you.
I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm. Even if Trump is
Oh
not
my
convicted, it
God.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to Biden because he just needed to discredit Trump enough to get reelected. So if that happens, don't be
Wow.
surprised if she has a role in the administration. I'm not saying attorney general, but she'll definitely have some sort of major role in the administration. That's my suspicion. I could be wrong. I'm
I didn't even
speculating,
think of
but
that. No, I think you could be onto something. It didn't even occur to me.
yeah, that's because she was at the White House the week before the charges were before Trump was indicted, and then she insisted on giving Trump the perp walk. You know, cuffing him and giving him the mug shot and going through the process like any other criminal defendant would have. It's not just Trump. It was all his co-conspirators in the racketeering case, the RICO case. They all got the perp walk, which makes no sense. I mean, the other cases, Trump wasn't. They didn't go through the perp walk. Yes, he was arrested and he was bailed. He made bail, but there was no mugshot. And of course, like I said from the beginning, Trump is going to use that to his advantage. What did he do? Immediately put the mugshot on Twitter.
Right.
He's proud of it. He's like, oh yeah,
he sells T-shirts with it,
he
and
sells
like
it to this
they
day. Yeah.
sell.
Like it's stupid. It's like why would you give him that win? It's like they think, oh no, we're gonna embarrass Donald Trump,
You
you know,
didn't
with the
embarrass him
mugshot.
at all.
No, he's proud of it. He's like, yeah, he
That
sold.
like no, I was like everyone was like talking about that, retweeting that, quote tweeting that. Everyone
Yeah.
was.
Like we're gonna get we're gonna get President Trump. We're gonna make him do his mugshot and fingerprint him and release the mugshot. This is gonna be great. You know, we got him now. Oh, he actually posted it on Twitter and he's selling T-shirts and making money off that. Oh,
Yeah.
we weren't expecting that. No, of course you weren't, because you're morons. You know, why would you give him that win? Excuse me. But it makes no sense. That case is falling apart. The judge in the classified documents case is kind of telling Jack Smith, you don't have a case here. I mean, what the hell are we doing here? It's like Trump was president. The Presidential Records Act applies to him. Robert Hur dismissed the case against Biden. What are we doing here? Why are we wasting our time with this? And of course, Jack Smith is like, well, you know, I mean, we you know, he had classified information. And I think the judge ultimately didn't dismiss the case, even though she should have. Because again, it's political. Remember, that judge was appointed by Trump. So she's afraid of liberals coming to her and say, oh, well, you're protecting Trump, you know, because, you know, you were appointed by him, you know, blah, blah, blah. So she's afraid of that. So I'm not surprised she didn't dismiss, even though any other circumstance she probably would have dismissed because the charges are ridiculous, the classified documents case. And the main conspiracy theory about that case is Donald Trump took classified information and sold it to the Saudis. That's the left liberals conspiracy. The issue with that is there's no way Trump could have done that, even if he desired to, because the U.S. government would have instantly found out about it because they have sources in Saudi Arabia. You know, they like that. They would have found out if money exchanged hands between Trump and the Saudi government. So that was ridiculous. That was instantly. I was like, no, that's not a thing. Like that is the most. And also, there's a claim that he showed classified information to some billionaire, which the billionaire claimed he did, even though Trump said he didn't. So it's like this case has a million holes in it. Just like the Fani Willis case, just like the other cases in New York. This is all political, ladies and gentlemen. It's political. These cases are all weak. It's not about convicting Trump. It's about hopefully discrediting him enough to lose the election. But it's not working. Trump is more popular than he's ever been.
Well, right, exactly, and that's what I had said to you on Twitter today. Is like, when they're talking about like, oh, defending democracy. Well, that literally has become to mean prosecute Trump. That's what defend democracy means. It's prosecute Trump, and more broadly, it really means to, by any means necessary, cripple the opponents to the Democratic Party, because they have installed themselves as this unquestionable face of democracy, meaning anything that isn't them isn't democracy. Well, this is very convenient.
Yeah, because they get to stay in power and they get control. Oh, we're the pro-democracy party. I think Kamala Harris recently said Donald Trump will use the Department of Justice to get revenge on his political enemies. Not realizing that that's exactly what the Biden administration doing, the administration that she's a part of right now.
No,
or
like,
she does realize it and ignores it. I don't know which one it is. Maybe she's doesn't realize because she's an idiot. I don't know, because
it's like, it's not corrupt when we do it. It's not anti-democratic when we do it. It's not fascism when we do it. It's not whatever word you want to insert.
It's none of that.
That's negative. No, I think that
Obama did it. Obama literally executed 2 Americans extrajudicially. No trial, no nothing, just took missiles or drones and killed 2 Americans because he thought they were terrorists or could be terrorists. So that's even worse than Trump even didn't come close to doing that, but Obama did, and it barely got any coverage.
Obama doesn't say like, mean things on Twitter.
That's a good point. But it barely got mentioned in the Washington Post. It's like, oh yeah, Obama did this. Barely got any news cycle. Okay, let's move on. Let's just ignore execution of Americans without trial. So yeah, I want to get, this is a good point. And all Trump did in his first 4 years was bend over backward to get the establishment to like him. He F4 people every chance he got. Yeah, he in his first term, all he did was get the establishment or whatever, wherever you want to call it, people to like him. They hated him no matter what he did. So, and if he gets a second term, I don't know. I mean, hopefully he'll go all out and try to get these people.
I think one of I think probably the best thing about him, and I absolutely prefer him to Biden. There's no question. If for no other reason, and this is the least intellectual thing I could say, but in all seriousness, for no other reason than like, he's funny, and can we at least laugh? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I think the best thing about him as sort of this entity was that he really exposed what our government is, certainly what the Democrats are. Like, he really, because when he was campaigning and when he was debating and all that, he didn't play by the rules, and that's why the media never knew how to handle him. The other people on the stage never knew how to handle him, because it was like, no, I don't, I'm taking the book, I'm throwing it out, I don't care. It just, through that whole thing and through the hysteria around him, the mask kind of fell off. And that's really been the biggest gift that he's given us. Yeah. Because whether it's him or whether it's somebody else or years from now or whatever, he exposed this thing that you can't put it back. You can't put it back. So,
Yes. Especially in 2016, he completely.
Well, that's really what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he exposed everything. He's like, At one point in debates, in the first debates, he's like, I bought all you guys. I donated to all you guys. What are you talking about? I mean, you worked for me at one point. So what are you talking about? I donated to all your campaigns exactly what I told you to do. Then he also said, I bought most Democrats too. What do you, I mean, I own all
This
these
is what I'm saying.
politicians.
Like, I remember in 2016, watching the first debate, and I was still kind of, I really was. I was fully still like, I'm a leftist. I'm, I was in it still. And I remember sitting watching that first debate, like, oh my God, Trump's going to debate. This is really happening. This is crazy. And remember there was like 18 of them on the stage, whatever it was. It was like a clown car that was just totally
It's ridiculous. Trump is in the middle.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I
and the rest
remember
of them were like,
I remember sitting there and we were watching the debate, my boyfriend and I, and about 10 minutes into it, he looked at me and he said, this man is going to be president. And I was like, you are like, what are you talking about? This is insane. He said, no, trust me, that he's going to win. Absolutely. And he called it. I mean, he absolutely called it.
I thought he would win the nomination, even though people around, no, he would, the country, the Republicans never nominate Trump. It was like, he's going to win. Look at him. I mean, he owned that stage from the word jump. Jeb Bush.
He embarrassed all of them. He exposed all of them. He just shattered the illusion of the Republicans,
everyone,
of the Democrats, everything. And what people are having a really hard time, I think, accepting is that whether he wins this time, whether he loses, whether he's convicted, whether he's not, the face of both parties has fundamentally changed, probably forever. And you see it, right? Because if you look at the Republicans, like Nikki Haley is kind of like this George Bush type of Republican, neocon. That's what we had in like the 90s, the early 2000s, like that. We know that's the face we're kind of used to. But the future of that party is really like Vivek Ramaswamy. That's where we're going. That's where it needs to go. And it is actually the Republicans then that are starting to, at least like the Vivek faction, to like embrace things like populism, these things that had been typically over on the left, and the left has abandoned all of that. They are the party of the professional class and luxury elite. That is who they are. But they're still like, we're for the downtrodden and the this and the what. No, in slogan you are, and you'll take your minorities as either your mascots or your hostages, depending on the situation, right? But you're the party of the professional managerial class. That is who you are. The face of the Republican, who used to be that, is like they're switching. It's interesting. It is interesting.
And in that respect, there is a political realignment going on.
Totally.
And it's thanks to Trump. I mean, Trump is kind of,
it is.
There because poor and a lot of poor people and middle class people are kind of saying the Democratic Party is not, fuck them, but the Republicans, especially with Trump, is like, Donald Trump keeps it real, and I like that, so I'm going to go with him, even though he really doesn't. But it's an act, but
it's a totally reasonable thing to feel, because I feel it too. But then I can recognize and be like, well. But here's the thing, like Trump is, he's an elite. However, like any other group, and I hate when I see people do this, because and I used to do it, so I'm indicting myself here too. But like, there is no group, including the elites, that are a monolith, right? Or that just all want the same thing. That no group works like that. So for someone like Trump, the appeal of Trump is that while yes, he's a rich elite, and you get a lot of people on CNN being like, why does the working class like Trump? Why do these blue collar people like Trump and not Biden? Because if Trump didn't have money, he is the type of guy that would be shopping at Walmart and eating at Hooters. That's why. That's the appeal, right? Where so and you can't discount something like that. It's very, very relatable. And he essentially just represents the fuck you to the establishment that we all feel because of how much he's hated.
He's the fuck you vote like it was in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2020, though, he became like that old white guy that watched Fox News too much, which is why he lost. I mean, that was a lot of
Yeah,
reasons.
I think
He forgot about that.
Exactly. And that was the thing. It was like the way he campaigned in 2020 was so not
awful.
the way he campaigned in 2016. I'm like, if he wants a shot, you got to go back to 2016.
Yeah,
You got
the
to go
thing,
back to that kind of thing.
as Steph said, Mr. Perfect's perfect. He bent over backwards to get the Washington establishment to like him, and they didn't.
Yeah, well, screw the
That's why he
establishment
campaigned
now.
like that, because he was
Mhm.
trying to get them. He was in Washington too long. Now
Yeah.
he's been out of Washington for 4 years. Now he's right back to
He's
the
been
populist
out.
Trump.
He's been out, and now he's basically being politically persecuted. So I'm hoping that something like that, that can really fundamentally change a person too.
Yeah, that if anybody went through that, especially it'll change you. It'll hopefully, maybe, I'm not, if Trump wins again, I'm not gonna vote for him. But let's say if he wins again, hopefully that'll change his perspective. Is like, these people will never like me, and I'm gonna fuck them harder than they ever fucked me. That's it, that attitude.
Exactly. And the other thing about the whole political persecution and why his appeal is going up and why he's gaining in popularity is because we're seeing how much we're being controlled. We're seeing, the censorship. We're seeing the authoritarianism come in. We're seeing all of these things. And I think it's very easy to look at a very powerful figure like Trump, which he is. He's a powerful man, and be like, well, if they can do that to him, then they can do that to any one of us.
That's a point that I've made, and scares me, because they can do it to any of us.
They
And
can, and they will. So
and we don't have the power that Trump was. He's a former president. He's a billionaire, So, and we don't have the money to defend ourselves the way that Trump does. So,
Mhm.
yeah, if they come after any of us, I mean, we're beyond fucked. We're up shit's creek. What's that saying? We're
without
up
a
shit's
paddle.
creek without a paddle. Yes. So, yeah, I do have to go now. I mean, this is a great conversation. I should
This
have
was
left probably
so
20 minutes ago.
fun. I
But
know. This was so
yeah,
fun. And I get to
agree.
hang out with you next week for
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah. So I want to, wrap up, but I want to let everybody know. Make sure you watch next week, especially you're a baseball fan. If you're not, I mean, still watch anyways, because we're having, we're enjoyable to listen to. But yeah, we're gonna be talking the Major League Baseball preview with Karen and Alex the Alex Knight, who's
Am I the only Red Sox fan that's on this?
I'm trying to get other Red Sox fans, but I'm not having any luck. So it's like, I know somebody else who's also a Yankees fan. So it'd be at least 2 against 1, maybe 3. And I really don't want that.
We're not going to be again. I'm not,
No,
it's
I'm
not
not.
against, but
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, it's going to be 2.
yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of trying to find some other Red Sox fans.
I mean,
I
I'm
really
fine. I
can't.
can totally hold my own if I am the only
Okay.
Sox fan. That is okay.
Ideally, I want to have 3 and 3, but so far I only have 2 for sure. Maybe it might be a third one.
Are you gonna wear a Yankee shirt?
Probably. I have a jersey or 2,
Okay.
so maybe I'll slip that on.
I need to bust out like a sock shirt or something.
Yeah, I do have shirts, but I also have jerseys, and see, I could just bust one out. But yeah, I mean, so that's what's gonna happen next week on Angel in the Afternoon. So make sure you check that out Friday at 7 o'clock, same time, same place. And that'll do it for there's so much more I wanted to get to with you, but unfortunately we're out of time this week. Maybe we can do it at some other point.
I will
But
come back anytime you want to have me. So
okay, well, I'll definitely keep that in mind, because I wanted to get to more about the migrant crisis, but we couldn't get to it tonight. So
okay,
it'll be worse probably by the time we come back in a few weeks. But
exactly.
but we'll see. All right. Well, until next. Oh yeah. By the way, tomorrow most likely we'll be doing pro wrestling talk. Me and Steph, Mr. Perfect's perfect. So we will get to that tomorrow 8 o'clock. I may have to do it Sunday. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to her and see. But for now, it's Saturday 8 o'clock. So yeah, I mean, Steph, I might have to do it Sunday 8 o'clock if it's okay with you. If not, we can talk about it. We'll see. But for now, it's Saturday 8 o'clock. So yeah, so I'm rambling on now. I need to wrap up. So until next Friday, we talk about baseball. I'm gonna see you guys then. Thank you for watching. And
Thank you,
okay,
Angel.
we can do it Sunday, Steph. Okay, good. Well, I'll let you know for sure. But yeah, thank you very much coming on, Karen, and I'll see you guys next week, and I'll see you next week for sure.